Ah, welcome tonight to the Inland Northwest Writers Guild. We're excited because we've got Joan Kop with us. She's releasing another book. This woman just won't stop. I'm telling you. And so we're excited because we want to help her get this old baby out into the world. And hi, Joan. Glad to have you with us.
Hi.
And you know, probably the thing that's uppermost on everybody's mind, because most of us, I don't think, have read the book yet. I know mine hasn't shown up. I ordered it through Aunties, and it's not here yet, but it's on its way, and I'm excited. But what is this book about anyway, Joan?
Well, the story is about how a fashionable young woman's life changes when she takes a job selling pet insurance over the phone. Emily's high-flying San Francisco life collapses in the 2008 recession when she moves to beer and cowboy boots Spokane and takes a job selling pet insurance over the phone.
Uh-huh.
And her hostile boss, Margaret, who's also the ops manager, is a thorny twit. And she connects with her coworkers who uh, include a wannabe comic, a casino addict, and a matron who obsesses about her health issues. And in the midst of the office stress, she falls in love with Harry Pratt, who's a charmed team leader and also an honest to goodness Texan cowboy. And their chemistry is real and their bond grows. And the story takes place mostly in Spokane. And there's a lot more, I have a lot more to say about the characters later on in the interview, but that's basically in a nutshell.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, those characters sound really strong, so I'm kind of looking forward to. Don't mind me, I'm fiddling around here with stuff because this thing keeps wanting to erase the half the screen. Um, Let me think. When this is a different book than what you've written in the past. You've written a lot of different kinds of things, and so I'm kind of curious. Why did you write this book?
Well, actually, I started writing it 17 years ago. I started writing it in 2008. And the real reason I wrote it is because my little brother didn't like my sense of humor. And I wrote this book to prove him wrong, basically. But I learned in the process that humor is subjective. What one person likes, another one doesn't. And I read a lot of to improve my humor. I outlined the book MASH and found out what worked and what didn't. That was one thing that helped. And then I also took a virtual Writer's Digest humor conference in 2022. And I've also read a lot of humorous books by Jim Gaffigan, Dave Barry, Tina Fey, Bill Cosby, Jerry Seinfeld, Trevor Noah, Kevin Hart, Zarna Garge. But my favorite of all time was David Sedaris. I bought and read every book of his, and I love how he captures humor. He's got keen insight. He's a keen observer, and I tried to do that with my book. And I also watched a lot of Jimmy Kimmel and Seth Meyers, and I also keep a humor file. And the second reason is I worked in telemarketing for West Corporation for 13 years. And I wanted to show the general public what it's like on the other side of the line. And I wanted to show the different quirky personalities who work there and also the humor that I found there.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I bet there's some interesting people working in it. I'm based on what I hear over the phone when they call us, but no disparaging there. But
Do you
um,
answer the phone for
every
telemarketers?
pardon?
Do you answer telemarketers calling?
Yeah, when they're calling, and yeah, I talk to them
You do?
if
Oh,
I can. Most of the ones we're getting now are taped, so there's no human being there. I mean, they're there, but they switch on a tape, so it's kind of sad. But This book, every book is different. They're all have their own unique requirements. Did you run into any particular challenges that you had to overcome with this one?
Yeah, I'd say there were basically three challenges that I came across. The first one, when I sent it to the PNWA to critique, I had too many fat jokes in the book. And basically, I was always weight challenged my whole life. So it was kind of self-deprecating humor. My kid names were Chubbs and Fatsby. So, but I took out a lot of the fat jokes. I probably took out 20 or something because of the PNWA critique. And then the second thing is, I actually have an intense personality, and I'm also a trained stenographer. And so when there was humor when I was working for West Corporation, whenever there was spontaneous humor, I tried to get it down through shorthand notes. But
Mhm.
a lot of times, I'd ask them to repeat it because I couldn't get it down fast enough, and they couldn't repeat it because it was spontaneous. And the third thing is I fashion my characters after real people. Um, Wally Howe was a team leader, and he's fashioned. Dave Houghton is the real person. I thought he was going to be on this today, um, but it's safe to say that we both have the same sense of humor. I have the same sense of humor as Dave Houghton. And that one of my other characters, Antenna in the book, who's actually Spanish, her other name is Anna Martinez, and I fashioned her personality off of Liz Coonsey, which there's hardly any relation, but she always knew all the dirt on people. So I used that as a character, but my character is Spanish. She says Spanish words, so that was different. And then Pastor Bill is fashioned after Pastor Bob Blizzard, who's in the character in my book. Pastor Bill says, "Glory be to God" a lot. And he also says, "Can I go home now?" But Pastor Blizzard didn't really say that. But there's other scenes in the book that are true to life about him. And Pearl was actually Rose Hart, and she rode a red motorized wheelchair scooter. And she does that in my book too. And she also burned her bra with other women at General Dynamic in Southern California. And she was married to a gang member with mafia connections at one time. So she made a real colorful character. She's passed away now too, and then Margaret, the antagonist in the book, was fashioned after Melissa Culbert, this one girl who was an ops manager, but I made her a lot meaner. Melissa was a nice person, but she's mean in the book. And the other problem I had way too many characters for a book. I had probably 20 or 24 characters. So what I did was combine some of the personalities, like Harry Pratt is actually a combination of Terry Stout and Phil Lindgren. Phil Lindgren was a team leader who had a motorcycle on his screensaver at work. And we also gave him a motorcycle Santa one Christmas. And Terry Stout was formerly in the Air Force, and I dated him for a year back 25 years ago. He's passed away now too. But Tunes, my character Tunes in the book, who's a musician, a wannabe musician, is fashioned from Steve Jones, who gave me two rap songs in 2009 to put in the book, and Jim Hunt, who gave me a blues song about telemarketing that I put in the book. And Jim is passed away too, and then my other character, Kathy Corbin, is a combination of Rose Clark, who's here tonight, and Delane Cathy. And they were two of the most talented salespeople I have ever met. But there's this one scene where Kathy Corbin is a verifier for sales, and she talks to Eleanor Westwood about her dog, and that's typically Rose Clark. So
Cool.
yeah, so
They
those
all know they're being used in the book. They're all okay with that.
they didn't know they were being used, but the people who are telemarketers that were in there, they might recognize some of the people or some of their personalities. But
Well, they kind of will now if they watch the recording.
that's okay because there's nothing really bad
Hey,
about it.
that's good. That's good. I'm
Yeah,
glad to hear that because
yeah.
sometimes people get in trouble when they have people like that in their book.
Just a little.
Oh, I got to mute Bonnie here. We're muting everybody, Bonnie. She came in late. Well, you mentioned something about the PNWA stuff, what when you had to do a little editing. How many editors did you have involved in that? You hired some, I think.
Yeah, I hired 4 developmental editors. This was over 17 years, so I had quite a few. I started out with Sue Jostrom, who's a cousin of mine, and she she told me there was little plot, and I thought she didn't really like my book. Some people don't appreciate the humor. And so I thought she didn't really like my book. So then I gave it to my writing coach that I had for 15 years. And he was in telemarketing at one time and he loved the book.
Hmm.
But the problem was I had trouble with plot in this book, and he had trouble teaching me what plot was. And so then I gave it to Helga Shear, who's passed away. Robert Gover has passed away too now, but I gave it to Helga Shear, and she basically told me there's no plot. It's mostly anecdotes about the telemarketing company you work for, which was really true. But she grew up in Germany, and I didn't think she understood what the story was that I was trying to tell. And she didn't appreciate, somebody that grows
Right.
up in a different country don't appreciate American humor. And I thought that was a problem. So I gave it to another editor, Ashley, and she basically helped me shape it into the romance part, and also the, um, you know, I don't know if she liked the comedy either. They didn't say. So I was really wondering how this book would do, because nobody really commented that except for Robert Gober. He loved the humor in it, but um,
He would probably with his experience and everything, but how many telemarketing companies did you work for?
10. I worked for 4 in the DC area and 6 in Spokane.
Wow.
So yeah, I worked for Dial America Marketing, Colorado Prime, Payne Weber, and Laidlaw Adams and Peck in the Washington DC area. And in Spokane, I worked for Mama D's Pizza, Dakota Direct, West Corporation, um, let's see, Sykes Corporation, and Farmers Insurance, and the Apex Financial Group. All of those I did telemarketing.
Well,
So,
I know you have a college degree. Why did you turn to telemarketing as a career?
well, in Spokane, I interviewed for about 200 different positions, but it seemed like, telemarketing was the only one that hired me. Even I had a college degree, but I also had sales experience. I sold bookstore to door in college, and maybe it was because I had sales experience that, they thought I would want to be still in that. I don't know, but I couldn't find anybody else that would hire me besides telemarketing companies.
Did you like doing the work though?
I didn't like it at all. It was low pace, very high stress, and daily rejection every day.
Uh-huh.
And my sister Connie, I talked to her every night, so she got the brunt of it, how terrible the rejection was. And to this day, she won't hang up on a telemarketer and she doesn't put herself on the do not call list.
Right. Yeah, they are human beings and they're trying to make a living,
Yeah.
and it's not easy. Not easy. Um, well, I think you did some selling. You were with an insurance agency, weren't you?
Well, I was an insurance agent for West Corporation. So I got my license in 1997. So I was an insurance agent for 28 years. I
Uh-huh.
gave it up last year. So yeah, so I was an insurance agent for 28 years. That was
Wow,
my,
that's a long time, really. Did you
yeah.
sell what kind of insurance? Did you ever sell insurance for pets?
No, I never did. The pet insurance company in the story is fictional, Wagging Tail's Pet Insurance, and I made sure that nobody else had that name because,
Yeah,
that
good,
no other
good.
company had that name. It was fictional. But basically, mostly what I sold for West Corporation was accidental death insurance.
Okay. Well, and you wrote about a lot of the stuff you did, a lot of the work you did was here in Spokane, and you mentioned that. Do you have events that you talk about in the book, or things that any of the buildings and things? Do you bring any of that up?
Yeah, I talk about Bloomsday, Hoop Fest, the cross country ski race, Lady Raven Stables, Camelini's Italian restaurant, publishing a book through Grey Dog Press, and a book launch at Auntie's bookstore. So
Okay. Well,
yeah, all that's in there.
you
So
covered a few of the things. You did. Well, I hear through the grapevine that there's, because I haven't read the book yet, but I hear that there's a little duty song that comes up. Can you tell us about that and maybe give us a little rendition of it?
yeah, Steve Jones created this little ditty duty song, and we sang it 25 minutes before he'd always start it. He'd sing it in a high-pitched voice, and
Uh-huh.
he'd sing it 25 minutes before we ended the shift, and everybody would clap and go back to work for 25 minutes, and then we'd go home. But the way it goes, I don't know if my voice will crack, but because it's high pitched, but 25 minutes till freedom. 25 minutes till I shake my booty. 25 minutes till freedom. 25 minutes of duty. Kind of a dumb little song, but it's in the book a couple of places. But
Well, it's cute. Thanks. I'm glad you're brave enough to sing it. Thanks, Joan. Well, I'm going to check here, trying to think if there's something else I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, but now I can't think of what they were. So I'm going to look at the thing here and see in the chat, see if I can find anybody who's anxious to know something. Jerry just made a comment, Jerry Shellhammer. There are an odd lot of people who work there. He thinks they sound a little odd. Did you think they were odd at the time?
I think there's a lot of strange people that work there, but I found, one time I interviewed for a job at Hallmark and I remember talking to the manager and stuff. And she said, why did you work at telemarketing? And I said, there's so much rich people there. I didn't mean wealthy people, but the, it's a rich environment of colorful characters, I found. Because I worked in Washington, D.C., one of the characters that I used in the book was this guy, Dan Talbot, who worked in one of the D.C. companies where I worked. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, so I took a job basically in telemarketing to subsidize my other work. Um, I wasn't making that much money in my other job, so I took a night job in telemarketing, and I found it was so much fun, especially around Christmas and stuff. We just had a whole lot of fun.
Mhm.
And um, and so somehow I ended up, when I came back to Spokane, I ended up in telemarketing too, because I figured it was the only job I could get.
Well, now you're a writer. And part of
Yeah.
that is because you have this experience. You've got a life full of all sorts of things, and you've written about a number of different things in the past that had to do with your life and your work. So I think you're doing, what do they say, write what you know, and you've pretty much been doing some of that. So that's good. Somebody commented here, the unknown person says, I thought Dakota was a lot of fun. Which one's Dakota?
Dakota Direct. I worked for them for 1 year out at Airport Park. And then West Corporation bought that company, and I worked out in the valley on what was it, Cinto or Mullen? Forget where it's at, Rose.
I don't know. Well, I'm thinking maybe we can let people unmute themselves if they've got things they'd like to ask and talk about. Does this person must have worked there, Joan, because we always dressed for Halloween and had a parade.
Oh yeah, that's in the book too. And Halloween and Christmas and stuff is in the book too. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we used to do that at Auntie's sometimes. Every year we would have a wagon or something that we would do for St. Patrick's Day and give away books, give away free books. And so those things can be such fun. It really
That is
can.
fun.
That's neat. Anybody have a question you want to ask Joan about this latest book?
The other thing is, if anybody wants a free book, an audio book, I only put my audio book on Audible, but I've got some promo codes. I can give you a free book. I've got, I think 23 left that I can give away.
Oh, wonderful.
It just came out in audio, so.
How would you like them to write you directly, or do you want them to go to your website, or how would
Yeah,
you?
no, send me a email with, and then I'll send you I'll put my email in the chat.
Oh,
And
good,
then
good.
I'll send you a promo code and the website that you have to get it from.
Okay, sounds good. And I know that Auntie's has them now. If they've run out on shelf, then they can send it there. They are in a warehouse in Tennessee, so that's what's taken so long for my book to get here. But yeah, you can, and if you order there, you can also say that the book was covered in a book club, and you can ask for a 15% discount. And it will be a regular book in paper. It won't be like a ebook or anything. But there's Joan's address in the chat. Now, and where all is your book being offered, Joan? Or you have it on your website, but you don't sell it directly there, right?
I don't sell it on my website. You can get it through a bookstore, Barnes and Nobles, or Auntie's, might order some.
Uh-huh.
Any bookstore. It's on Barnes and Noble's website too. You can order it. And I'm not sure if it's on bookshop.org. I haven't checked on their website yet, but you can give credit to a local bookstore if you order it on bookshop.org. And you can also get it from Amazon, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably likely on Bookshop. I know that because it it meets all the requirements. You don't have to go to Auntie's. You can just look up their website and it's on there. I know, because that's how I ordered my copy. Thanks very much.
Oh, you found it on bookshop.org?
No, at Auntie's, I went to our website and ordered
Oh,
the website.
yeah.
Did you have any trouble figuring out? I mean, I'm really curious, Joan, because you were writing, you wrote a memoir, you wrote a spy novel, you wrote a historical novel,
Mhm.
and now romance, or what they call now rom-com and stuff. Are you planning on going on to write other genres, or this kind of?
No, the next book I have, well, I have the end of this year, I'll have a Christmas children's espionage book come out. And then the next year, I have another spy thriller that I just finished editing. I got the edits in 2024, but I guess I haven't put them in, in the book. So I just did that this past week. And so I'm working on that book too. And I'm writing another spy thriller. You know, that this romantic comedy, was kind of out of my Bailey work because I'm really an intense person, and humor is not my, although I wrote down the humor and the descriptions and stuff of the characters are humorous, but I guess I probably feel more comfortable with a spy thriller or something. So that I had more experience in the telemarketing company than I did, with the CIA. So, that gives you credibility, with publishers and I guess readers also, because I have so much experience in that. But I'm more of an intense person, and so a more serious book is more my line.
Yeah, and this is something, I mean, in a way, when a person jumps to a different genre, it's like you're a beginning writer all over again, because you've got a whole new set of things to learn, ideas, how do you go about writing this kind of book? Do you have any things you would say to anybody here who might be just a beginning writer, or like me, and trying to,
Well, I would say based on my own experience, don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you don't comprehend something, get more than one opinion. I stayed with my writing coach too long. I didn't understand plots, and that really hindered me. I should have gone to somebody else and got different advice. And the second thing is read, read, read. I can't emphasize that enough. I didn't read enough growing up. It was frowned on in my family by my mom. And so I didn't read enough, but that has really helped me. And one thing that really helped me also, Writer's Digest, and I think they still have this. During the pandemic, first part of the pandemic, I quit my job, and they had these videos you could watch. For 30 days, they give you an unlimited amount of videos that you can watch, writing videos. And I listened to 30. I made sure I did one a day or two a day. And then I canceled. So it didn't cost me anything. And I think they still have that benefit. And then the next thing I would recommend is find a beta reader before you spend money on a developmental edit. Because a lot of people hang out their shingle as an editor today, and it's really hard to find the right editor. It's also hard to find beta readers. I didn't find any beta readers for my rom-com. I use developmental edits, but I would also encourage you to get a developmental edit, because that's kind of one-on-one. They go over plot errors, timeline errors, point of view errors, punctuation and grammar errors, and adjective order of adjectives and stuff. And I found one-on-one, I learned better one-on-one with somebody, and I learned more doing developmental edits that way than anything else, because you're getting professional advice. If you're in a critique group, yeah, there can be good people, but they don't always tell you the correct thing. You know, you can get bad advice in a critique group. You can get somebody who's aggressive and thinks, you know, acts like they know it all or something, and they really don't. You know, but developmental editors, you're paying for professional advice, and I would definitely recommend doing that. I think your writing ends up better.
Well, I am going to stop the recording and say good night to the people who will be watching this tomorrow and the next day and the next day. If I can. Oh, there it is.